passing breed horse for the medieval age. The size of that animal is a particularly good example of what the medieval war horse was. Not the larger animals you see behind, specifically here because of the larger man that preyed on it. However, that is about the size of the animal that you would expect actually charging into battle. Now, Sir Thomas shortly will be separating his team to exercise them. Separating his two teams now, forwarding two men to the further side of the arena. Just warming the horses up as they go.
What are they doing?
The squire is dispensed with the banner.
Don't know what to do, but hit that.
Each man is now drawing his sword. The swords of the late 15th century are slender and fairly pointed. The purpose being more for the thrust, but also still retaining all it needs for the cut against softer targets. Thomas White first. That's all with the men.
Have you got to go through it?
That's right. Take that one, Mark.
You will be if you've been that in drunk, are you? Nearly.
That stole his target. Another two runners, come on.
Gee, gosh, you didn't stop.
Good hit, Sir Thomas.
See that horse in you? You went so fast.
Very well, Sir Thomas.
Taking him off.
Yeah, he's getting
That's the one that's up this end.
yeah, he's a bit too risky, isn't he?
Another excellent hit. And he takes it to the point.
Not that easy.
To hit the target to the point is far more difficult thing to achieve.
Sure it isn't.
Another good cut. Here again comes Sir Thomas. They're on, Sir Thomas. Good try, sir. Go again, sir. The light lance, sometimes referred to as a lance game. Now this light lance can be used across the body, as is an excellent hit, but also, because it's not like the bigger lance you see jousting, this thing can be used again, because it's light enough to be used against various targets. You'll be able to recover it, and it'll be usable again and again, instead of just shattering on one, being so heavy. Again, he lances across the body. Close. A good run, though. Another superb hit.
Yes. I should get promoted to Division Somerset tonight.
The contest begins. Pass through. Wheeling, there they are, they're wheeling closer. The clash continues. Once teams become intermixed, it's very difficult to tell who is who. Also, position is vital.
Yeah, they're not coming to help too.
Thomas's full harness of defence has actually done him some good today. And on the helmet.
On the back of the head, you see?
No.
Thomas got smacked to the back of the head.
Danny, you're going to sit on this couch and wait here with the bag. They just put out the stretch. Look at the birds on.
Thomas has called a halt to the proceedings.
Help Danny up. Hello, Danny. Down there.
Thomas and his retinue ride single file, one after the next.
I like the stairs one.
Is that moist, sir? You wouldn't want that to be your head, really, would you?
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's clear. Absolutely splendid display there, and we'll be seeing more of them later.
Hello. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Cornet Kenyon, which has nothing to do with ice creams. It's merely the cavalry equivalent of an ensign. And the men you see with me are corporals and dragoons of His Majesty's 15th or King's Light Dragoons Hussars. They are wearing today the uniform that would have been worn at the time of the Battle of Waterloo. So we've moved forward in time a couple of hundred years since you last saw anyone on a horse. Any resemblance they bore to us is entirely coincidental. I'll now ask Corporal Martin to take the party, split the party, take one file to the east end of the arena, one file to the west end of the arena, so that you can get a
better look at their clothing and accoutrements, and I'll talk you through some of that. One moment.
Oh, right, left. Take post, march.
I won't do that through this, because you'll all get a bit deaf. As I said earlier, the soldiers you see before you now are wearing the uniform of the light cavalry of the time of the Battle of Waterloo. Their main job in warfare wouldn't have been charging large bodies of Frenchmen. It would have been scouting, reconnaissance, jobs like that. So they're quite lightly equipped by the standards of the time, quite light, nimble horses, and would have been out and about, finding out what was going on, finding out where the French were, and reporting back. The uniform is based on a uniform that originally originated in Hungary and in the 18th century. But after the Austrian army had had a few hussars, the other crowned heads of Europe decided that it was incredibly fashionable, very nice, and that they would like some too. So during the Napoleonic Wars, King George III, who is famous also for being mad, German and talking to trees, converted the 15 into hussars, and they adopted the rather fine uniform you see being worn here today. The two corporals you can see are wearing the home service uniform, which includes the white trousers and the Hessian boots. The two dragoons are wearing overalls, as they're called, protective trousers with the red stripe down, that the soldiers would have worn on foreign service, which at that time meant in Spain, fighting them. Do you have any French here? Well, if they are here, they're keeping quiet. I will now ask the men to form line again on the centre, and we'll show you their principal weapon.
Prends-le que tu fais juste devant, elle va pas être ratée, elle va être bien la photo.
I remember once we went to like a farm in school when I was like 12. So we let it out right.
Now, a man on a horse is all very well, but he's got to have something to kill Frenchmen with. So now we will show you the 1796 pattern light cavalry sabre. Gentlemen.
C'est bien fait. Il est bien fait le chignon.
There we are, ladies and gentlemen. 30 inches of Sheffield steel, enough to frighten any Frenchman or any of his other little friends. Now you'll notice at this point that now they've got the sabres out, and even before, all the men are riding the horse, controlling it with just the left hand, because they're carrying the sword in the right hand. There's quite a skill to this, and it takes some learning. It also requires you to use a lot of the leg to control the horse. The horse is actually steered with the legs. The left hand is mostly just the brakes. See the people here mounted today in the hussars are not real soldiers, of course. All these people have other jobs during the week, and they give up their spare time to recreate the regiment. This means in the winter in particular, a great deal of training in the cold and the rain, learning the drill manoeuvres that you see here.
C'est trop lourd quand il y en a une autre. Regarde, il y en a, ils arrivent là.
Now you've seen the British cavalry of the Napoleonic Wars doing drill, which, if the records of the time are to be believed, was a very rare event. Wellington was not impressed by these cavalry because they had a reputation for galloping after anything and trying to kill it, rather than spending very much time worrying about how they looked or what sort of a line they were in. So we might as well move on to the main event of the afternoon and see what we can do about these French cabbages that we have here. Now, any of you who are very worried about their appearance and their general dash and gallantry, so as they show off for you this afternoon, I'd like to get a little bit of support for them. The correct shout of general exuberance for the period is huzzah. So when they hit cabbage, I'd like to hear a nice big huzzah. Comes Mr. Williams. Give him a cheer. Guard. Prepare to guard, and then deliver a textbook cut. So to a dog. Corporal Williams prefers the more direct. Corporal continues his destructive ways. Steady.
C'est pas les mêmes gouttes. C'est des chips tout salés. Pourquoi ça fait des chips normales? C'est qui les a donnés?
So, now we have our officer, Cornet Kenyon, having a
Pas les
go.
mêmes celles-là.
All that dash and glitter, let's see if he can carry it off.
Pas les mêmes que tout à l'heure.
An excellent cut. Seems to have managed to fully destroy our target tank. With a few running repairs, but may just be back in the game.
Edward, I've already watched this. They have to try and chop down. I've only watched the knife chop it off.
Cornet Kenyon riding against Corporal Williams. Both excellent hits. Fortunately, our target's a Corporal. Well done, sir. Okay, right on with the point, gentlemen. Trowling getting a lick of speed up. Rode out in the last minute. See if Corporal Williams can redeem the situation. Huzzah.
Sally B, named after the bomber. Because apparently if she flies high enough, they can actually pick her up on radar. She's just got, I think it's just about an 11, 12 foot wingspan. And again, pretty much like Huggy, she's learned over the years that she doesn't really have to do much flying. All she's got to do is run around and maybe come up to the fist cue. Maybe come up to the fist when you're ready. We're not going to come off the fist. Let's see how fast she can run then. Come on. Jungle Book, isn't it? I used to love Jungle Book. Where's Mowgli? So what I'm waiting for now is Andy's going to come back over and take
That's wild, yeah.
my Harris hawk from me, hopefully. And then I'm going to disappear for a second once I get the next bird out. I'll leave you watching Sally for a second. As I said, Sally B is a Himalayan vulture, so as the name infers, that's where she comes from. And she is the second largest bird of prey the country's Countryside Alliance, etc., looking after country pursuits. But if people don't become aware of falconry and the good work that we do, because falconers are responsible for an awful lot of good work with birds, reintroducing them to the wild, etc. We don't take birds from the wild anymore. We do an awful lot of good for them. But if we don't start bringing people's awareness about these birds, we're going to lose them, and we're going to lose country pursuits, country sports. So that's something to bear in mind. If you do get a chance to join either the Falconry Alliance or the Countryside Alliance, something like that, would be greatly appreciated, because they do an awful lot of good work supporting us, because if we're not around doing falconry, you won't see sights like this. An awful lot of the birds that we work with, an awful lot of birds that we aim to support and conserve would disappear without falconry today. Or somebody lost a shoe earlier. And as I said, Sally is not an overcommon bird. But the only reason we bring them out is to bring people's awareness about them, because there's a lot of misconception about vultures. They're absolutely wonderful creatures, even though I'm not too keen on them. Vultures and I don't really get on. Becky likes them. Sorry? She doesn't like me. I know she doesn't like me. She absolutely despises me. You find that with the big birds. They tend to bond with somebody, and that's it. That's the last person they ever want to do business with, or work with, or be with. And Becky is definitely Sally's friend and partner, compadre, whatever else you want to call it. I'm just going to leave you watching Sally for a second.
Came from Lewis. And so gradually, the levies and the enlisted armies are gathering here in the town of Rye. But everywhere these people meet, there's sure to be some trouble. And the bailiff of Rye is not very happy with this turn of events. What he really wants is the ships to be loaded and for these men to be taken away. They've even brought bad weather with them as well as bad news. Here's some famous men of England, the bowmen of England, with their yew bows slung across their shoulders. If this rain persists, then they'll remove the strings from them bows and put them under their hats. And here's that strange and motley crew again, the Hussites. Now these put the fear into the heart of even the Lanchnecks on occasions. These are so single-minded and dedicated to their cause. And they're not particularly enamoured with the Catholics either. And of course, being down in Sussex, we have the local levies as well. Possibly the troops raised by the famous Pelham family. The Pelham family of East Sussex that will gather their men in defence of their country and will also lead them in the King's name to fight abroad. There are Yorkist contingents, there are Lancastrians, and the battles that were started over 13 years before will be sorted out here today on the fields of the Salts at Rye. These men that have been summoned to fight for King Henry, to fight against James IV of Scotland. Some of them are not supporters of Henry. Some of them wish the Scots no harm. Some of them wish to settle the scores that have been left festering for years. There are cannons, there are bowmen, there are pikemen, there are swordsmen, there are men in armour, there are barefooted levies. They're all here today, and will these men be sailing on to Scotland, or will they be marching further into Sussex to ravage the county, possibly? The opening foray is usually a cannon shot. We may or may not get a reply. Yes, there is a reply.
It's striking the ground.
cries. We can hear the war cries going up. The bowmen prepare to loose their arrows at their enemies. We will see all the tactics, all the training that we've witnessed today will be used. And a rain of arrows fall on one side. Oh yeah, and the return of arrows. They're just being dropped onto their enemies. This is not shooting in a line. They're just shooting into the air to drop the arrows down, to cause confusion. Fortunately, there are no horses here today. The horses have already been loaded on the ships. Anyone that fights here today fights on foot. And now both left wings are marching forward. They will engage the right wings at the other side. The centres will remain still. Now this can only fight the men that they are facing. They cannot break, for if they break, then the enemy line swings round into the centre and the day will be won. And they meet. The Sussex levies are clashing against the pikemen. They go the Landsnecks against the old Yorkists. The cannon are all loaded, ready for when they will be used. A few are breaking out into private fights. There are one or two men that have been looking for their enemies. Enemies they know of old, and they will pick them out. The outcome of the fight isn't important to them, just the outcome of their fight. As the rain and the smoke clears, we see them falling back now. The left wings in advance are gradually being pushed back. They have not managed to break the other side, but they're not yet beaten themselves. They will retreat in good order. Again, the arrows fall. Dangerously near their own men this time. And once more the sides clash. The centre's still holding steady. The battle seems to split in two. Both left wings have advanced. Both right wings have held steady. Archers are still and loosing their arrows through the centre. And occasionally the guns will be brought into play and then brought back again for reloading. Injuries are being received, but not too many of them are fatal yet. They're being very, very cautious. Nobody wants to lose their men too early in the battle. And the smoke of the cannon fire drifts once more across the battlefield. They stop for a rest. Swinging these pieces of steel is not easy work. Rolling the pikes is very, very tough. They will stop, they will rest, but they will keep a wary eye on their enemy, just in case they think they can take advantage. And yet again, the Landsnecks are advancing. The levies are holding firm here. Pelham's men will not go down too easily. They're fighting on their home soil after all. If you're concerned about seeing women so close to the battlefield, don't. They know what they're doing. They know when they'll move in, and they know what they must do. And once more the cannons roar out across the field. The cannons are roaring. Don't forget they've got plenty of powder here today. They were due to sail to Scotland. And in good order, the Landsnecks have retreated. Withdrawn. Another rest preparing to break that line, to scatter the troops and drive them off the field. But as long as they stand firm, there's very little that can be done against them. Arrows will be collected and used again if possible. Some of the powder is damp and some of the guns are misfiring. That's all that causes a bit of consternation to the gunners. And now the right wings are advancing. Both at the same time. Left wings. They're in defensive position this time. Receive. They defended well. And they attack equally well. And the fight. And they're shouting encouragement to the men in front of them. These are professional soldiers. They know what they must do. They know where they will stand, and they know where they will fall. They know when to attack, and they know when to withdraw. And if they do withdraw, they will withdraw in good order. Another lull in this battle. The captains will be watching from behind. What's this? We've had a The Hussites have changed sides. Captain speed. What has happened here? They've been persuaded one way or another. We're not quite sure why. Possibly for money, possibly for theological reasons. It's very, very difficult to say with the Hussites. They are allowed themselves. But this could swing the tide of battle. And still the army stand firm. Well, they reduced to shouting curses at each other, throwing insults across where once they crossed swords. The day's getting late. Somebody must win this field today. And yet again the arrows start falling, hoping to demoralise the other side. They must keep their heads down. They must not look up at the arrows. That would be fatal. And still the guns roar. They're not doing a lot of damage with these guns. But they are proving that they are still there. Well, occasionally they have a bit of winning advances. And these Pelham's men, these are the local men. They're fighting in their own territory. That should give them an advantage. But of course, those that they are facing, they have nowhere to go. They have no land of their own now. And they meet possibly for the last time. The battle swung back and forth all day. And as the men tire, they will start to make mistakes. They will start falling soon. Gradually, one by one, they will be taken out. But that's no hand, the swords are swinging. Tactical moves here. The soldier will be pulled back and forth. The blocks will be put to the test. And slowly, the men are going down. take too many casualties themselves. And as they collect their arrows, another shower comes in. Since the Landsknechts are being pushed back, the great Zweihander swords are swinging. The clash of steel here. And as one by one they go down, Martin Hemmeling's men are starting to fall now. And in go the Hussites for one last charge. There was Martin Hemmeling himself fighting furiously. He said he was a match for 85 men. Well, now it's being put to the test. As it quietens, which house has won the die? They're shouting for Lancaster. The Yorkists are defeated this time. Those that are left will all flee the field. Victory to the Lancastrians. They will now leave the bailiff to sort out the mess on this field. They will climb aboard the ships and await them. They will go on to fight.